So in this next group of apps, we're going to talk a little bit about retargeting. And as I'm sure you're aware, retargeting is basically the process of getting that customer back to your store once they've left. So we've made various attempts with the apps that I've showed you to get them to buy before they leave the store, but inevitably many people will leave without buying anything. And so retargeting is a massive subject to bring people back. And if you've ever been to a store and then you've gone somewhere else on the internet and you've seen ads that suddenly look like exactly what you've been looking at on that previous store, that's retargeting. That's bringing you back. If it's done well, it's very, very effective. And there's many ways of doing it, right? And this is not going to be a big section on how to do retargeting or anything like that, but I just want to introduce you to a few concepts and a few ideas that you can use. So one way to retarget is with emails. What we call autoresponders. So you get somebody's email address, and then once you've done that, you'll push them through a series of emails which will tempt them back to the store, or maybe upsell or cross-sell them, all kinds of other stuff. Yeah, it's kind of retargeting in a way. So I like to include it in a retargeting section. And this one here is MailChimp for Shopify. MailChimp is a very well-established email program. You may have heard of things like Aweber, for example. As ever, there are others. But what this does is it integrates MailChimp or Aweber or if any other email management system you might have with Shopify. So when you gather emails in whatever way you might on your store, the obvious one of course being when somebody actually buys from you, it integrates directly with MailChimp, and then you can set up series of autoresponders and retarget them accordingly. All right, so just to let you know that with email packages, there are some very nice ways to seamlessly integrate that with your Shopify store. All right, so I just talked about MailChimp and integrating with an existing email provider that you might have. But what if you don't? Well, in that case, you can use these kinds of apps. And again, there are loads of them. This one is a nice one. It's called Beautiful Abandoned Cart Emails. It's very, very simple. Basically, somebody abandons the cart and you will send them emails, but now through their system. All right, so basically what will happen is you'll go into this app, you will set up typically 1 or 2 emails that you want to send to them. So, they abandon the cart and then they get an email an hour later or something saying, hi, looks like you forgot something, or, we'd love to bring you back with a 10% discount, or whatever it might be, right? All the normal stuff. But they're basically sending the email, so no need in this case for MailChimp, all right? So a very nice interface, you'll see if you install it, very nice interface to manage all of that, and a very, very simple way to retarget people and bring them back to your store. Okay, retargeting is a massive subject, as I said before, but this particular one approaches it in a slightly different way, all right? What I'm trying to do here is show you different angles on how retargeting can work. And this one's focused on Facebook. So people have been to your store, they've looked around, they've clicked on some ads, they might have put something in the cart, whatever it is, and now they're back on Facebook. And then suddenly they start seeing ads that relate directly to that product they were looking at on your site to tempt them back in. Now this one's focused on Facebook, but I dare say, when you've been going around the internet, you've been on some sites, could be any site, and then suddenly you are the subject of a retargeting campaign. And there are many, many apps out there within the store to enable you to basically retarget people all over the web. But what I hope is that you get the idea of what this is all about. You get the principle of retargeting. You understand why and how it is so, so powerful. So I'm going to wrap up this section here, and what I'm going to say is, browse around the store. Just type in retarget, do a bit of your own research, and you will discover all kinds of amazing ways to bring people back to your store and boost your sales and profits. Okay, so we've covered an enormous amount of information here, but what you should have now is all the knowledge you need to create a really successful store, either for yourself or for somebody else. But one of the things I said I'd come back to, what seems like a long, long time ago now, are the sales channels. And I just want to say a few words about 2 or 3 of these. So you remember that we can basically add sales channels. Yeah, we have that online store, which are existing sales channels right now. But if we click on this little plus sign here, then up pops a load of other ones, all right? And these are very, very simple to install, right? All I need to do for Amazon, for example, which is what this brief lecture is about, all I need to do is click on add. And down here, I get Amazon listed as another sales channel, right? So I've got online store and now Amazon. But it's not as simple as that, all right? You need to be registered on Amazon already, obviously, as a professional. But if you are at that stage or you're thinking about going to that stage, this is a great way for you now to take your products on your Shopify store and push them to the Amazon store, and then the Shopify system will manage the whole process as well in the background. Now, you should know as well that this is kind of really limited to US for the most part. You have to advertise in USD for a start, United States dollars. You also have to have a Shopify plan, so the slightly more expensive ones. So, there's a few things that you need to take into consideration. But the other thing with Amazon, just as a general comment, is that it's a huge marketplace. So that if you do have a product that you put out there, you may well find yourself suddenly being compared with all kinds of other sellers with your similar product. And of course, what's going to happen is people on Amazon are going to go probably, almost certainly, for the cheapest one every time, okay? So with these types of e-commerce stores in general, that I teach and that I build, what we're trying to do here is to create a niche, ultimately, to carve out our own niche and then bring customers to our store directly through Facebook advertising typically and other means. But what we don't have on our store is a comparison with loads of other people, right? We're just basically sitting there. We're on our own, which is very, very nice. And that's how the sales happen. I mean, there's many, many other techniques that need to be considered. But basically, people not being able to make comparisons is an advantage, all right? Particularly with impulse items. If you're selling slightly cheaper items, they will go ahead and buy and won't shop around, So definitely consider Amazon, but don't just go in blind. Really step back and think about if you want to be on there, and if you do, you're going to have to go through that whole process of setting up a professional seller account, which may in the long run prove to be very lucrative. So an altogether simpler sales channel is Facebook, but this presumes that you have an active page, all right? Not a profile, but a page, a page being something that represents your business, all right? So you're posting regularly, you've got lots of likes, you've got lots and lots of interaction going on. If you've got that, then you may well want to consider adding this channel, the Shopify channel, because basically what it will do is it will put a shop tab on your page. So all those fans that are interacting nicely with your brand and whatever you're doing will immediately be able to go over and see your products without even visiting your store. And in fact, if you're eligible, they'll also be able to check out on your store. Now, there are pros and cons to this, okay? The pros being perhaps that, yeah, great. You've got a presence on Facebook. Facebook is the world's biggest social media platform. Why not have a presence on that? On the other hand, you might not want them necessarily shopping on Facebook, or perhaps not checking out on Facebook, because you want them to bring them to your store, right? You might want to do all that upsell and cross-sell stuff that we were looking at in previous lectures, just as an example. But either way, adding a Facebook channel, if you do have an active page, or if you're aspiring to have an active page in the future, then certainly consider this. Having a Facebook channel is certainly an interesting way to potentially expand your sales reach. Wow, we have more or less reached the end of the course, and if you're with me, I really, really want to congratulate you. And I also really, really hope that you appreciate the massive amount of knowledge that you have gained in the last few hours. Now, it's been a very long journey in a very short space of time, so I feel like we should take a breath. Let's just have a look at all of the stuff that we've learned. So the first thing we looked at were the settings. That probably seems like quite some time ago, I would imagine. And I explained to you that those really were the building blocks. Those are the bits that many people just gloss over. They dive straight to the good stuff and they miss out all of the essential settings that Shopify puts together for you in such an orderly and logical fashion. So we went through each of those so that as you develop your knowledge, you know exactly where to go to find that essential information. We then looked at starting to build an online store, and it all started with the Contact Us page and the About Us and the refund policy and all these pages which are not wildly exciting, I'll admit, but they are absolutely essential to any bona fide good e-commerce store. We also looked at creating menus, and we touched briefly on how we would integrate a blog. And from there, we looked at themes, the all-important themes, which I often describe as the display window of your store. And I took you down a couple of themes, one which I didn't like and one which I decided I did. And I did that because I wanted to show you a kind of typical creative process in many ways, how themes can go with one store, might not go with another, or you might prefer one and not another. And I hope that since then you've clicked around, you've played with themes a lot, you've made mistakes, you've found things you've liked, you've shown it to people. I really hope that you started to get a really great appreciation of what themes are about, because it's such an important part of the aesthetics of your store. How it looks is super, super important. And there I showed you how to integrate a homepage slider, again, just to kind of get you thinking about all the various possibilities with themes. And we also looked at adding a logo, which is clearly an essential part to finish off the look and feel of your store. And of course, no store is going to be complete without products. So we spent a good time looking at how to add products, simple and variable products, how to organize them into collections, and how to present them, for example, on the home page. I also talked briefly about Oberlo, if you're into drop shipping, how that is an essential tool to import products directly from websites such as AliExpress. So having got the basics of a store set up, we then looked at the different plans that Shopify offer, which one that could be best for you or maybe a client that you're advising. I also showed you how to integrate email from an external host, should that be something that you might need to do. And also SSL, Secure Sockets Layer, how important it is for a customer that when they come to your site to feel like they're on a secure system where they can purchase in safety. And then, of course, the all-important subject of orders. Now that we had the plan set up, we could actually go ahead and actually take orders on the store, and how we would actually do that, both through the e-commerce store itself or maybe even over the phone. We also touched a bit on how to recover an abandoned cart and looked also at fraud analysis. And then, of course, to the amazing apps, right? This was a fun section, but because I get so many questions related to apps, I was very aware that people get overwhelmed and confused. So what I tried to do there, and I hope you appreciate it, and I hope you really benefited from, what I tried to do there was to arrange them into logical groups to guide you through how apps can be of enormous benefit to your store. And then lastly, we looked at other sales channels. Having established a great store, where else could you advertise your products? And just giving you an idea of how sometimes that can be a good idea, but it can also bring its disadvantages. So there we go, a massive amount of information, a massive amount of knowledge that I've imparted on you, and I really, really hope you appreciate what this can do for you now. Now let's take a step back, because right at the very beginning I said that this course could change your life, right? And this knowledge absolutely has the potential to do that. Do not underestimate it, because you could now start to think about becoming a Shopify developer or a consultant, or even build out your own e-commerce business. So let's just take a slightly deeper dive into those options just to finish off this course. Okay, so let's first have a look at the possibility of becoming a Shopify developer or maybe a consultant. And the thing that you'll absolutely want to do first off is to create your own store, all right? Because that will become a showcase for what you can do. It'll be the very first item in your portfolio, if you like. Because of course, if you're going to advertise your services, if you're going to go out there and speak to people, you need some sort of proof, right? You need to show that this is what you can do. So you'll want to show them a store, and you'll want to show them all of the amazing skills that you've picked up throughout this course. Now, you might feel that one store isn't sufficient. Maybe you want 2 or 3. I don't think in the beginning you want to go any further than that. But you certainly want to be able to get that message over very clearly to anybody who might be interested to get you up and running. And then, of course, once you've got your own clients, then it's a different story. You're going to be adding those into your resume, and it's going to start to build far more naturally and far more quickly. And once you've done that, head over to these marketplaces such as the one we're looking at now, Upwork.com, where there's a huge demand for Shopify developers and consultants, and they're going to give you a great idea of where the demand really lies and the prices that you can charge going forward. And of course, as I showed you right at the beginning of the course, there are other sites. So for example, Freelancer, again here I've just typed in Shopify, and it's come back with all kinds of stuff. Yeah, 819 jobs found just here. So browse. Get inspired. You need to put yourself out there in the beginning. I know it can be a little bit daunting, but put yourself out there. Don't be too afraid to fail in the beginning. We all fail in the beginning at some point, right? It's just how it goes. It's part of the process. And what you need to do if you do fail or if you do get some knockbacks or whatever, you need to learn from that and just keep pushing forward. And in no time at all, you will have a fantastic client base of Shopify clients. Let's also have a look at jobsgalore.com, just another one. There are so many of these sites. I encourage you to Google around, Shopify jobs, Shopify consultant, Shopify developer, whatever it might be, and have a look. Here we go, 1,198 jobs. I hope you can see that related to Shopify. Yeah, so much demand out there. And lastly, why not have a look at Fiverr as well? Shopify on Fiverr is massive. And again, that's going to give you a great idea of where the demand lies, what you can do. And Fiverr is all about doing stuff for $5, which clearly isn't that interesting. But almost everybody on Fiverr upsells. You can see by these prices here, we got starting at $5, but over here we got starting at $150. So, people might do a quick logo design at $5, but they want to upsell you a whole store. There are many, many ways of doing it. But the point is, the one that I really hope you appreciate now is that there is massive demand for Shopify, and you have the knowledge and the skills to make it happen. Get out there and you can change your life. So another thing you might want to consider now that you've got this fantastic knowledge of Shopify is to actually start your own e-commerce business. Now, you might be thinking, I have no idea how to do that. Well, I've created another course, and forgive me for this shameless promotion, but this is a very, very popular course on Udemy. In fact, it's one of the most popular e-commerce courses. As you can see, it's been taken by over 37,000 students. And it's called Make Money, the Complete Shopify AliExpress Dropship course. And it basically teaches you how to build a highly profitable business, one that could supplement your existing income or perhaps bring up to $10,000 a month using Shopify, and you already have a great knowledge of that, and combining it with AliExpress and the drop shipping model. So I really, really encourage you to go over and check that out. It really is the kind of course that could change your life.